Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3YTV, tonight's broadcast of the Bristol 200 here in the Simbox Truck Series in the National Sim Racing Association. I'm Peter Short, and joining me with, alongside, as always, is Drew Eisenman. And tonight, we are doing yet another chase race here around Bristol Motor Speedway here in the Simbox Truck Series. And Drew, we've talked about this chase and the different wild card races. And here tonight at Bristol, we have yet another wild card event. We've seen one at Michigan. We've seen one a couple weeks ago. And here we are tonight at Bristol. It's going to be a wild one here tonight at the Last Great Coliseum.
It certainly is, Peter. You know, this is one of those tracks that has kind of reshaped itself over the years, turning from a really bottom line focused, chrome horn type of race to one which you can really race side by side with a lot of other drivers. But with that has come that kind of reprofiled upper lane, which can really get yourself in a little bit of trouble. It's so easy to get into the wall coming out of these corners here, and we've seen that quite a bit in practice here tonight. We got to see how that pans out during the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it being another chase race here tonight, there's a lot on the line. We've seen a lot of action already with drivers like James Lorello. Really, the Lorello story has been one of the hot topics here over the past couple of weeks. Getting involved in an accident back at Michigan and then getting taken out at Talladega, finishing way back in the pack at Dega. But here tonight, comes into tonight, second place in points behind your reigning Simbox Truck Series champion, Mitchell Adams, in the point standings. We'll see if we can bring those point standings up for you here in just a second. But Drew, as this chase winds down, we're going to get one race closer here tonight after Bristol. 14 points. Mitchell Adams looking pretty up at the top of the board.
It certainly is that way on paper, but I just can't count out that number 9 truck of James Lorello. Arguably the truck to beat any given race, bar those super speedways that we saw and maybe the road courses as well. But we don't have any of those left, right? We have here Bristol, we have Auto Club, Phoenix, and Chicago. Those are the last 4 races, so 3 after tonight. And 16 points, that's not an insubstantial amount. But this is another one of those really pivotal races. If he can close that gap, if he can cut it to under 10, I think James Lorello is well and truly right there with the likes of Mitchell Adams and Bill Edwards, and now, quite frankly, TJ Buck, right? So many of these guys actually, following Talladega, kind of lifted themselves up into being able to compete for this championship. But I think Mitchell Adams, Bill Edwards, and James Lorello, we've talked about those guys so much this season, and they're all right there.
Yeah, that is for sure. And you have a couple of drivers who are hoping that their luck turns around here tonight. You see a couple names down there at the bottom: Colin Ullery, Jeff Price, Jeffrey Johnson Jr. over 40 points out. The one driver I skipped over back there, Chris Darling, he is not in tonight's race, suspended here tonight at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So Chris Darling will not be taking place. We'll see a car very similar to Chris Darling's out there on the racetrack here tonight. But definitely has been an interesting storyline here about this chase, with Lorello winning the regular season title and trying to close out the Simbox Truck Series title. But you know what? There's a long race here tonight, and one driver atop the board, Bill Edwards, at 14.826, just tied with 2 other drivers. How often do you see a 3-way tie at the top of the board in practice, Drew?
Not often. I would say probably at short tracks, just because the lap times are so short, maybe lends itself to that more than other places. But I certainly didn't expect that. I mean, our top, 15, close to 12, 15 drivers are within a tenth of each other. Here at Bristol, that's not uncommon, but 3 guys running 8.26s. Is pretty remarkable. And then our other 2 championship drivers running 8.33s and 8.35s, Mitchell Adams and James Lorello, only about, a hundredth of a second or so behind those top 3. So an incredibly close field here at Bristol Motor Speedway as we just about close out practice. Qualifying coming right up for these guys, and practice speeds are one thing, but here at Bristol, qualifying laps are just, I think, a little bit harder because if you just barely scrape that wall, which is so easy to do, boom, your laps are raced and you have to hope to get that second one in clean. We'll see who can do that coming up right now as we are looking at the 4 of Drew Himmelman on track with that Sim Shots truck, kind of a recent join, good looking scheme on that number 4, but a ton of guys are going to be taking these laps early. Going to be interesting to see what their approaches are coming to take these laps. We see Drew Himmelman taking that low line through 3 and 4, the 41 kind of doing a reset as he might have gotten a 0x there. 9 of James Thorello now on track as well, as he is doing kind of an intermediate medium line maybe through 1 and 2 there. What is your line that you prefer here, Peter, in qualifying? Because normally we associate Bristol these days with that high lane. What are these guys doing to kind of mix that up a little bit?
Well, I think with all the downforce that you're going to have on these trucks, you're going to be able to run down on the bottom side of the racetrack maybe for the first couple of laps, and then you're going to start to migrate up to the top of the racetrack as the trucks start to lose grip. But currently, it is the number 9 machine of James Lorello atop the leaderboard. Bill Edwards there in second, Peter Serto in third, Philip Scott, JT Poole rounding out the top 5 as of right now here around the Bristol Motor Speedway.
Yeah, and we're starting to see those times really filter in now. Ben Adams in that 5 truck filters into second position. Bill Edwards currently in third with James Zorello still our points leader. Is we got a truck a little sideways there. The 14, though not on shot. The 13 truck though he is a multi-time pole sitter this year's Jordan Shepler in that 13 truck. And what are his lap times looking like right now? That'll put him in P4 for that number 13 truck, though. James Lorello still our pole sitter right now as guys continue to turn laps here at Bristol, though. Qualifying, there's 5 minutes. It certainly will not take 5 minutes for the vast majority of these guys to complete their laps. Now the 94 truck of Jason Freeman puts his time in. He won his first 2 times out in this 94 truck, did Jason Freeman. He is in 7th as of right now, and we're seeing quite a variation in line. No one's really running that high lane, but we are seeing guys from that middle to that bottom, Peter, and we're kind of seeing a little bit more disparity in these times as now the 94 truck moves up to P1. Jason Freeman on pole now, looking at the 77 of Doug Neal.
Yeah, of course, Jason Freeman winning his first 2 races of his NSRA Simbox Truck Series career earlier this season, and trying to pick up win number 3 on the year right here at Bristol Motor Speedway, trying to pick up that Sim Racing Shirts Pole Award here tonight. We're watching the number 147 machine. That is David Harvey in the free Chris Darling machine. Of course, that paint scheme very similar to the Chris Darling paint scheme that we typically see out there on the racetrack, but that Toyota Tundra working his way out of turn number 4 there, puts in his first lap, jumps to 5th place on the board, and David Harvey was actually one of those drivers tied for the top of the charts in practice. We'll see what he can do on lap number 2 here, goes across the start-finish line, and he is not going to pick it up on lap number 2, so he's going to stay there in 5th. But Harvey here making his National Sim Racing Association debut at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And folks, if you're in the chat, I've mentioned this a couple times this season. I've known Garrett Gleason, he's in the chat, Christopher Darling, and David Harvey right there. I've known them for well over 10 years. In fact, I can honestly say out of Christopher Darling, David Harvey, and Garrett Gleason, all 3 of those people, at one point in my sim racing career, we were teammates. And it's great to have those people sticking around here and here on 3 Wide TV here tonight. So we got Stay Tuned Sports in the chat. We got JT Poole in the chat here tonight saying, make sure to get some shots of my Mardi Gras trucks so I can get some screen time while being lapped. Well, hopefully that doesn't happen, JT. Of course, for those of the people not watching last night, JT Poole was one made me chuckle last night. I was in the chat for the Taz Racing Customs event that we broadcasted here last night on 3UI TV. Unfortunately, we're not in the booth. JT Poole shortened to the first 3 letters of his last name, which is P-O-O. So, JT, we're going to try not to hold that against you. But if it comes out here tonight, if just, the poo comes out, then it just comes out. I do apologize for that. We got Tana Himmelman in the chat. We got Josh Sobel saying, I'm just trying to survive. Of course, Garrett Gleason, Stephen Doziak in the chat. Dragon Tamer Studios. How you guys doing here tonight? I gotta say, great to be back in the booth. I know Drew Eisman and I, both Texans, we've been through a wild week, and what a great way to unwind here on YouTube on 3 Wide TV with a little bit of NSRA Simbox Truck Series action. But Drew, we got trucks gridding out there on the racetrack, 200 laps here tonight. Why don't we go through tonight's starting lineup there, Drew?
Absolutely. We mentioned him before, that number 94, two-time back-to-back winner of his first two starts, Jason Freeman in that 94. The number 9 of James Zarello, a guy we have our eye on as far as championship implications are concerned. He'll be starting on the outside of that front row. Ben Adams, another Chase driver, will be rolling off in third, with Nathan Maurer in that 971 truck starting to his outside. David Harvey in that awesome 147 truck. He will be rolling off in fifth position, with another chaser, the 50 of Bill Edwards, in sixth to his outside. The 13 of Jordan Shepler will be rolling off in seventh, with Travis White in that 23 truck will be starting to his outside in eighth position. Peter Serto starting on the inside of that row in ninth position. And Doug Milner, another Chase driver, rounding out your top 10.
Starting on the inside of row number 6, we got the number 44 of Philip Scott with JT Poole to his outside. And the number 26, there's that Mardi Gras machine that he wants us to show all night long here on the channel. Andrew Himmelman will be rolling off from the 13th position, with Jamar Dumas in the 14th spot. Joshua Sobel will be rolling off from the inside of row number 8, a little bit further back than we typically see the number 30 here tonight. The 77 of Doug Neal will be starting alongside him in the Simbox Chevrolet. On the inside of row number 9, we got Justin White with Tony Lucarelli to his outside. Adam Dama in the U.S. Army Esports machine starting from the 19th spot here tonight. And your reigning Simbox Truck Series Points Series champion, Mitchell Adams, the points leader, coming in tonight, rolling off 20th there, Drew.
And rolling off in 21st is that 31 of Garrett Gleason, with Robert Dudley in that 15 truck starting to his outside. The 10 of Monty Glover will be rolling off in 23rd, with Colin Ullery, another Chase driver, kind of starting a little bit further than a lot of these Chase guys would like, in 24th. Jeff Price, another Chase driver, in 25th position. Steven Doziak Jr. in that number 05 truck will be rolling off in 26th. And then Chris Darling, unfortunately not rolling off in P27, but Jeffrey Johnson Jr., as we are so accustomed to seeing from that 33 truck, he will be rolling off, having not qualified, in 28th position. And then TJ Buck in that 84 truck will be rounding out your field, starting in 29th.
And of course, Chris Darling, you see him right there, will not be starting here tonight. As it shows, under arrest. He is in the NSRA jail. Yes, that's right, folks. We have a jail. In fact, he's not in jail. He's in prison. He's doing his hard time in NSRA prison. Chris Darling not starting here tonight. So we'll have 28 trucks take the green flag here in just a little bit. The pace truck lights are off. Folks, who do you want to win? We got Kelsey Jalowski rooting on Peter Serto. We also got Peter John Serto rooting on Peter Serto. And then we got Stay Tuned Sports rooting on the number 30 of Joshua Sobel. Tana Himmelman always rooting on the number 5 and number 4. But if you're in the chat, make sure you make yourself heard. Johnny Williams as well, a longtime friend, a longtime supporter of Total Non-Stop Racing, in the chat, rooting on Garrett Gleason in the number 31 machine. Great to see Chris Darling actually giving the number 31 to Garrett Gleason this week. I know that's been one of the hot topics, that Gleason has been in the wrong car, although it says number 31, but he's actually in number 7. But that doesn't matter because the green flag is going to wave here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And the number 94 machine of Jason Freeman gets us underway on the inside line, already off to a good start as he clears the number 9 of Lorello there.
Absolutely, but now that 94 kind of commits to that high lane, maybe a little early, kind of checks up the field a little bit now. James Lorello forced to the inside as Nathan Maurer looking to roll that high lane, as a little bit of contact between the 5 and the 9, and the 9 maybe spins off to the inside. Will that bring out a caution? No caution, but James Lorello now just getting going at the tail end of the field. He's not rolling on the backstretch. In fact, there he goes, that number 9 truck. This is a horrible start, as horrible of a start as that 9 could have expected. He's darn near a lap down with quite a bit of tail end damage. And as we cut to this next shot, you're gonna we got a replay, in fact, to cue it up for you guys. And now we're gonna see the 9 just kind of checks up here in 1 and 2 as they dive off into the corner. The 5 of Ben Adams just tags the right rear, and that sends the 9 spinning. And ooh, that's quite a bit of contact at the inside wall there, Peter. I didn't catch that. at first glimpse. But a horrible start to the 9 race, but we do have a caution now out.
Yeah, caution is out. We got Philip Scott in the 44. Oh, Peter Serto, Adam Dama, both around, that being the number 32 and the 82. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened here. I know we got some Peter Serto fans in the chat here tonight to see what happened to the Jansen Racing Engines number 32. Here we go on the replay. There's the number 4 of Andrew. Oh, Peter Serto might have clipped the wall there, then 3 wide, and yeah, a little bit of contact there. And Drew, you and I know 3 wide at Bristol's usually, oh man, Adam Dama there making contact with the inside wall as well. And the U.S. Army Esports Racing Machine. We'll go back and see what happened here on board with the number 28 machine, or excuse me, number 82 machine. Getting my numbers back to front. And, whoa, man, I wonder if he got some help from behind, or did he just have too much rear brake there, Drew?
It's certainly hard to tell from that angle, but that 82 just kind of, I think it's just off the throttle coming out of the banking, and right here we're going to see him as he comes through 3 and 4. Now that he's got that wreck in his visuals, and yeah, I think he just stomps on that brake trying to slow down, and that just kind of, that heavy braking will kind of toss you to the inside if you get on those stoppers too soon, and I think that's what happened to that 82. But now, just looking at this replay again, you see Peter Serto just kind of get in that outside wall, gets into that wall glue. He luckily pulls it away from that wall, but then he starts to cut down. The 44 gives him a little bit of room, but now we're 3 wide again, and the exit of the corner 3 wide is just not going to work. And quite frankly, that's just too many trucks into too small of a space, and that was always going to happen. But Mitchell Adams, we didn't talk about that. He snuck through that deal and was able to get through that. But another saving grace to this whole ordeal as the 77 and 41 get caught up is that really saved James Zarello in this 9 truck, right? He was about to go a lap down. As now you see that 82 just fly in there. But this really, really saved James Zarello, as this didn't give him the lucky dog or anything. He just was able to stay on the lead lap here.
And what did we say, Drew? There's going to be a couple of wild cards in this chase. We talked about Talladega. We talked about Bristol being those 2 wild cards. We also saw Michigan, of all places, be a wild card race. A really crazy race a couple of weeks ago here on the channel. So all of a sudden, the start of the race, not looking good for a couple of these chase drivers. We'll have to see whether or not they can turn it around. Still a long way to go here tonight. 200 laps here around the famed Bristol Motor Speedway, the last great Coliseum, Thunder Valley, whatever you want to call it. This racetrack, known for a lot of actions here, folks. We got Gabriel Gill in the chat, rooting on the 49 machine of Mitchell Adams, one of those chase drivers coming in tonight as the points leader. Stay Tuned Sports saying, hey, Rich, how you doing, big guy? We got Rich Sobel joining us in the chat as well, pretty much as always. And Rich saying he just had his knee surgery yesterday. Rich, hope all went well with that surgery, and glad to have you back here on the channel. Hopefully you can rest up and enjoy a little bit of side-by-side action here on 3 Wide TV as we get set to go back to green flag racing. Pace truck lights have indeed turned off at the front of the field. We'll be just under 190 laps to go. Still a long night, folks, so make sure you grab your beverages, your popcorn, whatever you want to get, your snacks. I'll tell you what, Drew, I think we could probably go outside and get a real snow cone as we're back to green flag racing. The number 94 once again going to shoot out to an early lead, an impressive lead over the 971 and Nathan Maurer there, Drew.
Yeah, the 994 of Jason Freeman certainly nailed the initial start and then this restart, but he doesn't really seem to have a great get up to speed lap. That 94 all over that rear tailgate is Nathan Maurer in the 971. He is really getting up there and challenging that 94 truck, as we kind of talked about, that we saw these guys really running that kind of middle third groove in qualifying, but certainly up in the race, we are seeing these guys really utilize that high lane as it keeps guys from just rolling your outside. It's so easy to do here. If you leave that outdoor outside groove open, especially on exit of these corners. It's so easy to carry a ton of momentum out of that high lane as you like fall off of that banking pretty much. As now the 971 truck peeking to the inside of that 94 of Jason Freeman, but can Nathan Maurer do anything with him? It's just so hard to pass here at Bristol. They might have reprofiled this thing. They might have tried to encourage multi-group racing, and that's certainly been a result in some situations in a lot of races, but not every single one. But they just kind of moved the preferred groove where you got to bump somebody, right? They moved that groove from the very bottom, right next to the apron, all the way up to the very top. And, I know it's certainly a divisive issue as to what people think of that kind of reprofiling of Bristol, but it certainly is a challenging track, almost like a mini Darlington now, with the way you have to run this ride up against that groove. As the 94 might have gotten just a little sideways there, not able to cut that truck back to the bottom, as that really allowed Nathan Maurer to get right up to his tailgate.
Yeah, there's some definite good battling going on as Ben Adams and the number 5 machine going to drop to the inside of Jordan Scheffler. The number 5 trying to pick up the spot from the number 13. You look out back of your race leader right now, the number 94 race truck driver. That is Jason Freeman driving the truck here tonight. Kind of like, well, not quite like Dale Jarrett. We used to race the truck back in the day, the good old UPS trucks that are out there. But at least for right now, Jordan Scheffler in the number 13 going to hold on to the 4th position over Ben Adams. We're keeping our eyes on James Lorello in the damaged number 9 machine. He was all the way, Drew, back to 27th position. He's clawed his way up to 18th right now, trying to get around the number 17 machine who's right in front of him. That is 17th place Jeff Price there, and Lorello going to just slot on by him. So move Lorello now up another position as, wow, almost contact there between the 14 and the number 9. There's the number 4 of Andrew Himmelman. He's running inside the top 10 right now in the 9th spot, running right in front of your points leader. That we'll be keeping our eyes on here tonight. Mitchell Adams, your reigning Simbox Truck Series champion, but we have now eclipsed 10% of the race. As you see up at the top of the screen, the fastest 5 laps turned so far. Ben Adams currently turned the fastest lap of the race so far in the number 5 machine. Jordan Scheffler, Andrew Himmelman, Bill Edwards, and Justin White, the next 4 fastest laps. And 14.846 around 864, excuse me, is absolutely flying here around this half-mile racetrack.
Absolutely, and now we saw that 147 truck challenge there for second position, but not able to make it work. And we see guys try to make the bottom work, and I definitely am not somebody who's great at managing tires, but I know in iRacing, Peter, that these trucks, these stock cars, these stock trucks, whatever you want to call them, they can really struggle running alternative lines, especially with a fixed setup like we have tonight, which of course, folks, means that all these guys are running the exact same setup with the exact same trucks regardless of manufacturer. So these guys are all driving identical equipment that is set up the same. But when you try to run those alternative lines like the bottom, Peter, what can happen to these tires?
Well, I'll tell you what, here at Bristol Motor Speedway, you might think that tires aren't that important. Well, folks, they are important. I have seen races won and lost with pit strategy, some drivers saving tires here around this racetrack, because, Drew, we've talked about that high line and how important it is for these drivers to hold on to that high line. It's so difficult to pass here at Bristol because that high line, you get so much momentum up there. It has the most banking. But if you're able to save your tires, that is really the only way you can make a pass here as a caution flag waves. We'll see what the caution flag is for. I'm not immediately seeing what the caution flag has come out for, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on what might have brought out this yellow flag. But I'll tell you what, Drew, let's we got one car, 62, Colin Ullery, I think was the reason for the caution. We'll back up just a little bit, and here we go, battling with the 14 of Jeff Price. And man, that was a little bit of Netcode, it looks like, or maybe the 62 just broke loose, but that was kind of a weird one, Drew.
Yeah, it's kind of odd that would throw a caution. It's, sometimes there's a multi-car wreck, as we've seen here on 3Y TV, and no caution, right? Blocking the track, no caution. And then you have just basically the 62 get dead sideways, but does a great job catching it. But iRacing decides that, nope, that is worthy of a caution. So a little bit of a reset for these guys. Going to be interesting to see who decides to pit and stay out. We obviously seen that 9 truck in his pit stop right now, James Zarello, thinking that this merits getting his truck probably fixed up a little bit and getting some fresh Goodyears on that number 9. But I would think that a lot of these front runners would stay out. But I think pitting now, if this thing goes green for a substantial amount of time, this could really lend itself towards those guys who come down pit road here right now. Maybe not for fuel strategy as much, but certainly for tires. Tires, like you said, Peter, because it's such a short distance, a 10th a lap here, because we have 200 laps, that's a massive time difference. And really the only way that it's kind of an easy way to pass somebody here at Bristol, because it's so high lane dominant during the race, if you have fresher tires, you can lean on those things a little bit and maybe make a pass work, where if you were on equal tires, that would be a little bit less likely to pan out. So it's going to be interesting to see with these guys pitting versus these guys that are staying out, how are those guys able to make their way up through the field, and does that result in a net positive or a net neutral or a net negative for those drivers?
Yeah, I'm really going to be keeping my eyes on James Lorello in the number 9 machine. Meanwhile, Jeff Price in the number 14 machine, one of our chase drivers, has peeled it off the racetrack, and it appears he will be our 3rd retirement here tonight, joining Peter Serto and Adam Dama, both of those trucks sitting on pit road. Now, Dama and Serto might be able to make it back out there on the racetrack if their damage is repaired from the first caution here tonight. But here we are working the second caution, lap number 33. The number 94, Jason Freeman, so far has led every single lap around the half-mile racetrack. We do have TJ Buck in the chat saying this was an important race and unfortunately unable to get going. His computer falling out, his receive throughput falling to an unacceptable level. I will break that down for you folks. That means his computer was unable to maintain a solid connection to the iRacing server, and unfortunately for TJ Buck, it looks like his night will be done. Not able to see the green flag as one of the chase drivers. Like he said, an important race for him, and unfortunately his race will go no further. Now, do want to make mention here tonight, folks, as we're about to go back to green flag racing. Big shout out to Carlos Acosta for jumping up here in the booth here tonight. Here in Texas, we've had all those power outages. As the green flag back in the air, Carlos able to jump in tonight and produce the race for us. And really big shout out to Carlos, and bringing you a couple of the graphics that we hope to bring you next season in the Simbox Truck Series. So that will be a lot of fun, as Jason Freeman in the number 94 machine has jumped out once again to a race lead, continuing to lead every single lap here tonight. We look a little bit further back in the pack, side by side back here, Travis White, the number 5 of Ben Adams, going toe-to-toe with one another. There's David Harvey and Jordan Scheffler. Looks like Scheffler, going to take that 3rd position for right now. Taking that away from David Harvey. He will slide back to 4th, but a little bit further back, we got more side-by-side action back here. That's Himmelman and Adams, and Ben Adams going at it.
Yeah, and we're looking at this 49 truck right now. A really good job by Mitchell Adams in this 49, that orange and yellow number 49 truck. He started 20th, up now solidly into the top 10. A really good recovery. We saw him miss that kind of fairly decent-sized wreck early on, and now he is trying to make sure he can get by that number 4 of Drew Himmelman. Man, it can just be so hard to know if you're the inside truck and you actually do get past somebody, to know if you're clear. If you're relying on kind of that default spotter, is now another driver, Peter, that we should mention, the number 9, and James Zarello, almost a lap down here just a few laps ago. Now he is battling up here in the top 10, but when you're relying on that kind of default iRacing spotter, if you aren't fortunate enough to have somebody actually spotting for you, it can be so hard to clear yourself, especially at a place like Bristol, especially with championship implications on the line, like a lot of these guys have. It can be so challenging to know if you're actually clear or not. And here at Bristol, because the wall's right there, and if you get into a wreck, you're going to hit a wall, whether it's the inside wall, the outside wall, multiple of those, and other trucks. It can just be so challenging to complete that pass with confidence, as we're kind of seeing that these guys maybe could have had the ability. Is man, we got some guys really starting to show some chrome horns to each other throughout the field here as we're looking now at the 62, the 33. Multiple chase drivers here getting a little impatient with each other because it can be so hard to pass that when guys are holding you up a little bit, you gotta sometimes get them out of your way. Sometimes that's the only way to make a pass here. And of course, that was what Bristol was known for such a long time, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Joshua Sobel in the number 30 Stay Tuned Sports with Jimbo Toyota Tundra. He's been smacking the outside wall, just smacking it lap after lap after lap as we watch this gaggle of cars right here, led by the 23 Travis White. Got another couple of cars. There's the number 94, your race leader. Let's see if we can go back and focus on the number 5 machine of Ben Adams right now. There he is, and side by side right now with the Zaps Mardi Gras Potato Chips Ford F-150. And whoa, what's happened to Jordan Scheffler, the 5th place man in the outside wall? Lots of right side damage to that Chevy Silverado going up into the outside wall. I think there was contact with the number 9 machine of Lorello. There was indeed contact. Let's see if we can dial up a 3-wide TV replay here from just a couple laps ago, because Jordan Scheffler in that number 13 machine was almost on 2 tires. He might have been on 2 tires briefly with some netcode with the number 9 machine of Lorello, but somehow they were able to sort things out. And for right now, that number 9 machine will hold on. Let's see if we can see this right back here. No, this might have been a couple laps too soon. Well, oh no, yeah, we'll speed this up. And here we go. Here comes the number 9 machine. They're side by side. Okay, well, yeah, okay. So this is down the back stretch. It happened right here on the front stretch. Here comes Lorello. Remember, Lorello's on fresher tires. And oof, there's that contact. And that 13 machine up on 2 wheels there briefly. And that's a lot of action, Drew.
Yeah, we're certainly not boring the folks at home watching this tonight, as that was a strange incident between that 13 and that 9 that certainly seemed to be netcode. But man, that 9 truck is really, really visible, at least. We don't know mechanically, visibly in rough shape, as man, that's the second significant contact he's had. It's not really seeming to hamper that 9 truck, as now he passes that 971 of Nathan Maurer for 3rd position. And how fortunes can change here at Bristol. James Dorello, from being within car lengths of going a lap down here in the first few opening laps to now P3, a great turnaround for him. Now we're looking at this 26 truck. That is JT Poole running in 6th position. As we're focusing back here on Jason Freeman in that 94 as the 4 of Drew Himmelman here, Peter. We've seen constant improvement from Drew Himmelman, but now and especially once he got that new computer right, but now we're seeing him challenging for the race lead. But now caution is out, and looking through the field. And do you see anything, Peter? Because right now I am struggling to find something.
Yeah,
maybe another Ullery incident, unfortunately.
Yeah, Ullery, I think, involved in the second incident here tonight. The number 6 machine also involved Doug Milliner, and I think also Jeffrey Johnson Jr., one of your chase drivers, involved. Here we go on the 3-wide TV replay. The 6 machine gets into the back of the 33, comes down into the 62, and oh man, that is Beyblades right there for the number 62 of Ullery. Able to get things gathered up relatively quickly. Things happen oh so fast here at the fastest half mile. Also, Philip Scott being involved in his second accident of the night. But man, Andrew Himmelman was challenging for the race lead when that all went down. You see Ullery quickly coming down pit road there in that number 62 Red Bull machine. But we got these trucks on pit road. They're going to take tires, that's for sure, because one thing I was going to mention, Drew, as you get another look at this from my atop the blimp cam right there, and oh boy, that's a pretty heavy hit for the number 62. We'll see whether or not he can charge his way back up through the field. But one thing I wanted to mention, Drew, was Andrew Himmelman, the number 9 at Lorello. Both of those cars had 30-lap fresher tires, and they were just able to plow through the field in their charge up to the front. That's how important tires are here at Bristol. We usually think of these short tracks as being a track where you don't get that opportunity to use fresh tires, but because you're going almost 140 miles an hour off into the corners, you eat through your tires here at this racetrack. It is also concrete, which you and I know, Drew. Concrete tends to be a little bit more abrasive than your typical asphalt, especially new asphalt. And this racetrack eats through tires pretty quickly, and that's why we see that large disparity. Now, Nathan Maurer in the 971 machine, Bill Edwards, both of those cards. In fact, Nathan Maurer did come down pit road. He was the first truck off pit road, but Bill Edwards electing to stay out in the number 50 machine, coming into tonight's second place in points in his truck. So we'll have to see how that works out for the number 50. But by my math, he has 25 lap older tires than Nathan Maurer. We saw what 30 lap fresher tires could do. So you can see that right there. Edwards on that 27 lap stint right now on his current set of tires. You see Nathan Maurer on very, very fresh tires. JT Poole. Also, we got Travis White up there, Justin White. So the Whites are together in 4th and 5th. Jordan Scheffler, Ben Adams, Jamar Dumas, Monty Glover, and Philip Scott running out your top 10. What happened to the number 9, Lorello? He dropped well back in the field. I think he probably was getting some damage repaired on that number 9. I have a 29.2 second pit stop for James Lorello there, Drew.
Yeah, I imagine at this point in the race, given that again, significant contact that he had, didn't seem to slow him down a ton, but certainly that number 9 truck wise to take the damage repair. But back to green here is the number 50 of Bill Edwards, who is one of those kind of 3 guys in a really good position. He is controlled this restart and gotten a really good restart, but I think those older tires are really, really going to hurt that 50 truck. Is the 971 of Nathan Maurer. All over his tailgate is, the 2 and the 23 get together. The 5's into the inside wall. Will this bring out a caution? It will.
The 28.
Huge impacts, Peter.
The 28 of Jamar Dumas going up and over. The big one strikes here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We still have trucks stopped on the front stretch. We got the 44 of Philip Scott. We got the number 10 Monty Glover. The 28 of Jamar Dumas. Those 3 trucks spewing smoke out the back, as well as the number 5 machine of Ben Adams. We'll go back and see this one on the replay. Focusing on the number 10 Monty Glover here coming out of turn number 4. Was there contact or did it happen in front of him? Because these accordion type accidents can happen so fast. Oh yeah, the 28 machine Jamar Dumas, and oh jeez, look at Dumas going up and over. That is one heavy hit. You see a couple of the trucks just scooting through, including a couple of your chase drivers. One thing I was going to note was the number 49 machine, number 94. Second time I've got numbers back to front here tonight. Jason Freeman was well back in the pack, as was James Sorello under that caution. We ride on board, I think, with it. This has got to be the number 28 because we're riding gyro cam. Indeed it is. Jamar Dumas going for a pretty hefty ride in that Texaco Haviland Chevrolet. Finally coming to rest on all 4 wheels, but that might be day done in championship Incas for Ben Adams, one of your chase drivers.
Not often, Peter, do we see a truck flip here at Bristol, but Jamar Dumas has that kind of distinction. As we're going to see that 2 and the 23 truck right there get together. The 23 gets into the inside wall. That sends the 5 trying to avoid him into the inside wall. And then you just have guys checking up, trying to avoid this wreck, getting into each other, unfortunately. And here you see just kind of a huge stack up. The 28, the 5, and several other guys. Mitchell Adams does a fantastic job avoiding this, but unfortunately that 28 truck, boom, into the driver's side door. And then you see him just tumble right there. Not often you see the underside of one of these trucks here. And then you see that number 9, James Zarello, that orange and yellow truck to that outside just sneak on through. So definitely some championship Incas, so to speak, in this wreck. But I think that kind of the heavy hitters survived somehow kind of fairly miraculously in that 49 and the number 9.
Yeah, that is for sure. And I'm sure there's going to definitely be people in the chat who won't be too excited about that. Tana Himmelman saying Blue Ben's motor, he's out. Connie Adams also saying Ben isn't going to let me watch anymore. Connie, I know how it is. We definitely have people in the chat who are good luck charms for other drivers. One of those drivers who comes to mind is Will Worsler. He is a good luck charm for the number 9 of James Lorello. Whenever we see Will Worsler in the chat on a Friday night, the number 9 machine's leading. Connie, perhaps you might be a bad luck charm for Ben. I don't know, but unfortunately, that number 5, one of your championship chase drivers, appears like his number 5 is stricken on pit road. We're also seeing a couple of other trucks on pit road right now. Travis White in the number 23. He's sitting on pit road. Andrew Himmelman in the number 4 is also stuck on pit road. Doug Neal in the number 77 Simbox machine. He's been stuck on pit road for quite some time now. He's 11 laps down, which is a big shame in the Simbox sponsored machine. And of course, want to give a big shout out to our series sponsor, Simbox. Go to facebook.com/SimboxPC to check out the button boxes that Simbox puts together, because who doesn't need more buttons for iRacing? As the green flag flies once again, speaking of buttons, we're back on the loud button as the number 50 machine, Bill Edwards. He hasn't pitted now in quite a few laps, leading the race, 36 laps to be exact. Make that 37 as Bill Edwards flashes across the start-finish line. Nathan Maurer right behind him on 25 lap pressure tires. JT Poole currently sitting in the top 3. He was concerned about being lapped tonight in the Mardi Gras Zaps Chips machine, but so far, the 13 machine. Oh, that's Jordan Shepler in the inside wall. Heavy contact, and we are back under caution. Kablamo, that engine is kaput.
Yeah, we certainly had a high mortality rate for a lot of these trucks here early. I mean, early at Bristol, we're about at the 1/3 mark, but yeah, we'll see this 13 truck cruising through 3 and 4, and then just unfortunately gets in. I don't know if he got into the outside wall there, Peter. Did he just get looped?
I think it was just too much beans. I think he was breaking loose there coming out of turn number 4, and I don't think he ever made contact with the outside wall, but wasn't able to catch back up with the truck. And unfortunately, the Essentia number 13 appears like he's going to need a little bit of extra water on pit road. He's going to dive down right now as we watch another look at that replay, and you see that smoke spewing out the back. We do have some other takers on pit road under this caution. Justin White coming down. We got David Harvey coming down in the 147 machine. Harvey got a little bit of damage under the previous caution flag. I think there was contact with the number 30 of Joshua Sobel. So Harvey's going to take this opportunity to come down and get some of that damage fixed. We got Colin Ullery coming down, Jeffrey Johnson Jr. as well in the New Edge Auto Detailing Ford F-150. That is his own company on the number 33, one of our chase drivers. As you're looking at your current race leader, comes into tonight second place in points, Bill Edwards. And I'm sure we have Bill Edwards fans in the chat here tonight, always saying hello to his family back home. We got Ray Heilig in the chat saying Doug crawling back, Doug Milliner for championship. The number 6 machine. Let's see if we can bring up that number 6 machine of Doug Milliner currently riding inside the top 10. Nicholas Bradley saying Bristol's gonna Bristol. That's a really good way to put it there, Drew. Bristol's gonna Bristol.
Yeah, it certainly will. And, you know, that one huge multi-truck wreck, unfortunately, I think took out a ton of these guys. But just kind of looking on track right now, there's really not a ton of guys with no damage. We have 17 of our 27 trucks that took the field on the lead lap at this point, though multiple of those multitudes, should I say, of those trucks have significant damage. The 62 of Colin Ullery on the lead lap, he's got quite a bit of damage. The 13 now has fallen a lap down, so now 16 trucks on that lead lap. But yeah, I mean, this is Bristol, right? This is kind of another one of those races that this is not abnormal, certainly, to see this kind of racing, and unfortunately this type of casualty rate throughout the field. But one guy who's made a smart move is this 50, who is now leading the field to the green, of staying out and keeping himself clear of the chaos that's going on further back in the pack. And I think we might have just had an exit in the yellow there. I definitely expected that pace truck to pull off and for these guys to go green. But Peter, this is just what happens at Bristol. If there is a single car wreck, it's so easy, especially on the front and back stretch, for that truck to bounce off the inside wall, fly across the track, and then all of a sudden you get multiple trucks involved, and there's just nothing these guys can do.
Yeah, I mean, this racetrack, you're going so, so fast. We'll see if we can get an onboard look on one of these race trucks when we go get that green flag here in just about a half lap, as that Silverado's lights have been extinguished for a second time, Drew. You were right. They were extinguished before. We did throw an extra lap of caution, but finally the pace truck going to head down pit road, and Bill Edwards going to lead us back to green on those slightly older tires. A little bit surprised that that SQR Chevy Silverado has been able to hold on to the race lead. He slides up the racetrack, though, opening up the door possibly for the number 26 machine, JT Poole, in that Ford F-150. He was concerned about falling a lap down earlier. Now going for the race lead with Nathan Maurer and the 971 back behind him. Let's see if we can jump on board with the number 971. Is Maurer going to try and think about taking it 3 wide coming through turn number 1 and 2. Boy, that was tight up at the front. Here you go, on board with a little bit of gyro cam action. And you can't see a whole lot out of these trucks as JT Poole in the 26 going to get himself up to the race lead. But look how little you can see out of these trucks, especially when you're just jumping out of the corner. You can't see the entire straightaway until right there. Then you can see the whole straightaway. But if you have a car in front of you, or a truck in front of you in this instance, you can't really see what's going on in front of that truck. This racetrack has the opportunity to be so disorientating. That's not a word. Disorienting. I'm disorientating, folks. Disorienting for the drivers because you're just whipping around it so fast.
It certainly is. And I think especially with these trucks and the limited view that they have, because the rear spoiler is so kind of far from the greenhouse, right? The driver compartment, so to speak, compared to a B car, compared to a cup car, that it almost limits your ability to see through that truck in front of you even more than the other National Touring Series stock cars, as JT Poole continuing to lead. Mitchell Adams up in 4th position. We're looking at him now, and just 2 positions behind him is the number 9 of James Zarello. Great jobs by these drivers that didn't have the best starting position or had some significant misfortune early in this race to recover and now be running right up there, as the 94, our pole sitter, fading back a little bit here, Peter. Maybe a little bit more than I was expecting. But Bill Edwards in that 50 truck running in second, doing a pretty good job hanging on with these older tires.
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised that Bill Edwards is holding on so well with those tires. We'll see how that works out for him as this run goes on, but we have seen a couple of heat cycles in these Goodyear tires, so that might help him out, actually, as a couple of heat cycles might just balance out the tires just a little bit. But Mitchell Adams in the number 49 machine didn't have a good qualifying lap at all. Qualified down in the 20th position, currently running there in 4th and trying to pick up tonight's Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race award. So far is the biggest mover of the race in that number 49 machine, running right in front of your Sim Racing Shirts Pole Award winner, the number 94 of Jason Freeman. Running right in front of James Zarello. There you see Steven Doziek. I'm getting corrected by Mr. Producer Carlos Acosta in my ear, saying he is also tied for the biggest mover of the race so far. So good job there, Doze. In the number 05, he welcomed me back to the booth prior to the race. Of course, been away from the 3-wide TV booth for a couple of days while Texas did Texas. I'll tell you what, that's been an absolute roller coaster, both for Drew and I. But Drew, I think we're back under power, that's for sure, and I think we're starting to move in the right direction, so that's good news. And of course, we're back up here in the booth as we close in on halfway.
Yeah, I'm sipping my delicious boiled water here during the broadcast tonight, as definitely some extraordinary circumstances unfolding in the last week or so in both of our neighborhoods. But I gotta say, I love this purple 26 truck. Brings back some good memories as a Jamie McMurray longtime fan. Some great memories and a lot of unfortunate, not so great memories regarding a certain driver of a purple 26 machine. But great to see JT Poole up there doing his thing, leading here at Bristol. He was so quick at Watkins Glen, did a fantastic job there, doing another fantastic job here at Bristol. And we are, quite frankly, Peter, rapidly approaching the halfway mark as we are on lap now 93 of 200. Bill Edwards, though, again, I am so impressed by what the second place truck is doing. of keeping touch with our current race leader. And I was really not expecting this. I was expecting that 50 to really start to kind of tumble down the field, though. Maybe holding up the 971 and Nathan Maurer. You can just kind of see that in the background there. Starting to hold up these guys just a little bit. And this is kind of when you start to see those old tires take their toll, when everything's up to temp for all these guys. You start to see those guys in fresher tires. Oh man, he's just starting to get freight trained there as the 971, the 49, the 94, the 147, and the 9 all looking to get by him right now. And when you kind of have this kind of checkup to multiple trucks, this is when incidents can happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen here, but it's so easy to not be able to see through that truck in front of you, where he has to check up because he's trying to get by a guy. Then all of a sudden you get into the back of him, and then boom, 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 reaction, and all of a sudden you have quite a few trucks in compromising positions. But really good job by this field thus far, keeping it clean through this run as it, again, so hard to do here at Bristol, as we've seen. Definitely one of the more challenging tracks on the circuit. I think this and Darlington have kind of similar skill sets, is to be able to be really comfortable, like kind of painting that right front right up against the wall, and having confidence that you're not going to knock that wall down. I think at both of those two tracks are said is what do we got going on here, Peter?
Oh boy, we have my favorite graphic up there. Mo is trying to mow down. It's not often I lose composure here on the channel, but JT Poole, his name is just unlucky. We got Mo versus Pooh at the top of the screen, with Nathan Maurer trying to mow down JT. Why is that so? Okay. Oh, contact. That will get me back in shape. We got the 94. That snapped me out of it. The 94, your pole sitter of Jason Freeman, making contact with David Harvey in the 147 machine, and whoa, still almost contact with the outside wall. Stop it, Chris. Don't make me start rolling on the floor laughing again. Stop it in the chat. Dang it, Stay Tuned Sports is trying to do it too. But Harvey there and the 94 machine both making contact, and Freeman going to slide back to 7th. Harvey now back up to 6th. But Lorello was able to take advantage of that little bit of argy-barginess, and Lorello now back up into the top 5, which is impressive. Not the first time, not the second time, not the third time that we have seen James Lorello claw his way back up into the top 5 in that S2R Chevy Silverado, trying to close in on both Bill Edwards and Mitchell Adams. Of course, Edwards is one of his teammates. Edwards just 2 points in front of Lorello coming into tonight here at Bristol Motor Speedway. But he's really trying to close in on Mitchell Adams, your points leader coming into tonight here at the famed half-mile 200-lap event, as we have now gotten over the halfway mark, as Mr. Producer has up there at the top of the screen. We did have a question in the chat. One of my favorite questions we get quite a bit here on 3Wide TV is about netcode. What is netcode? Well, long story short, I'll give you the short story and then I'll give you the long story, because I give you both. The short story is internet is imperfect, and iRacing sometimes has to guesstimate where the truck will be. And sometimes it doesn't quite get the right guesstimation, and it guesstimates that one truck makes contact with another truck. And that is just down to the fact that internet is imperfect. The internet is all about sending packets of data and receiving packets of data, and sometimes if you don't send enough data or receive enough data, it just doesn't work out, and all of a sudden is you make non-physical contact because the internet is imperfect. It has to interpolate and extrapolate data that it's receiving, and it's done on the server side. And sometimes when just that data doesn't quite work out, you get what we call netcode, because it is literally the code of the game trying to figure out where the cars are based off of how it is coded and imperfect data. So we call it netcode. That is what it is, and sometimes it can lead to accidents, and we've seen it a couple times here tonight, Drew. But we're watching the number 15 and Doug Milliner. This is a battle for 9th right now.
Yeah, this battle certainly heating up between that 15 and that 6 truck. It can be fairly hard, as we have previously mentioned, to complete a pass here at Bristol, as Doug and that 15 put in a heck of a battle here, as the 44 Philip Scott kind of scooted on by them. The 44, though, not a factor in this battle, as he's 33 laps down. But yeah, I mean, we only have 11 trucks now, Peter, here on the lead lap at Bristol. I mean, I was expecting a fairly high attrition rate, but this is a little bit higher than I was expecting. And because the incidents that we have, quite frankly, haven't been single car incidents, right? They have been multitudes of drivers that have been involved in one incident at a time. And so we really, I mean, I don't know if this would be perceived by a lot of guys as having been a lot of cautions, but this really is not anything worse than most Bristol races, right? I mean, if anything, it's a little better because we're actually getting some green flag laps here, which unfortunately at Bristol sometimes can be hard for a lot of guys to be able to put together. But these guys have done a fantastic job of multiple green flag laps, but just not a ton of guys out here on the lead lap, which is allowing guys like the guy we're looking at right now, Bill Edwards, to be able to hang kind of with everybody else, as he's still running in 5th position, though we are seeing those tires really take a toll as far as lap times are concerned. Is now he is 6.5 seconds behind the 26 truck, our current leader, JT Poole. I really hope we get to interview JT at the end of this. It's certainly trending that way, because I have a great question about what his F1 2020 abbreviation is. What does he do? Because I know that's a fairly big game with a lot of the guys. I can't wait to talk to him.
Oh, contact!
What happened, Pete?
Sorry to interrupt there, but there was definite contact between the number 23 of Travis White in his truck and Nathan Maurer, your second place machine. We'll see if we can go back and get this one in replay. It wasn't enough to bring out the caution flag, but those two trucks coming together just about a lap ago in turn number 3 and 4, getting really, really slideways. And there you go. You can see it right there. And they go up the racetrack, and there's contact right there. The 971 gets into the left rear quarter panel. Then the 23 starts coming down, and Maurer getting a piece of it as well right there, having to go down there onto the apron. You don't see many race trucks go down there onto the apron here, Bristol Motor Speedway, and are able to save it. But that's what Mo has been able to do, and unfortunately he has not been mowing into Pooh's lead. JT Poole currently up there with now to a 4.5-second lead, which is huge here at Bristol. I mean, Drew, that's about a third of a lap around this joint.
It certainly is. You see how that lap's just been exploding, quite frankly, in how big it is. Now up to 4.8. We got to see this time by, as that Nathan Maurer truck certainly can't be doing too. A 5-second lead now, another 2/10 that last time by. And that's what we kind of talked about, Peter, is that because this track is so small, that 1 or 2/10 a lap is massive as far as the percentage is concerned of a lap here. And so JT just doing a fantastic job. Now 5.5 seconds, right? It just keeps growing and growing and growing. I refrain from making the joke that popped in my head, because the 20 cars lead. He's doing a fantastic job. I'll just cut to you, Peter.
You know, I'm thinking of a new nickname for Bristol. I think if JT Poole wins the race, Bristol should be known as the Toilet Bowl. We'll just leave it at that. The Toilet Bowl. And speaking of the Toilet Bowl, we're down to only 7 trucks on the lead lap, as JT Poole now up to a 6.4-second lead. He is absolutely mowing down the field, trying to put Jason Freeman in the 94 a lap down, which remember, Freeman was up at the front of the field not too long ago. So JT Poole at the beginning of the race said that he was expecting to go a lap down. He's about to lap 6th place. I mean, this has me absolutely scratching my head as we run through lap number 131. We actually got one car peeling off to go down pit road. That is Justin White in the Grinds Coffee Pouches Chevy Silverado. There he is. We got Bill Edwards as well. Remember, he was one of those drivers who stayed out. So we think, well, let's do the math. Bill Edwards, it had been about 60 laps or so since he was on pit road, so I don't think he's going to be able to make it to the end of the race as we're doing the math graphic. Might be close for Bill Edwards. I just don't think he can make it to the checkered flag from here. Meanwhile, all these other trucks, we know they will be able to make it on only one more stop, so that could work out to JT Poole's advantage. David Harvey now up to the 2nd position with this round of pit stops going on. Now 8.4 seconds behind the race leader, JT Poole, who's still turning his laps out there. And, wow. We just found out what poo is in Spanish. It's numero dos, which is Steven Doziak. So, yeah, we got a couple of poos out there on the racetrack tonight. Wow, we are just immature up here in the booth here tonight. This is good. This is a good race. But for right now, JT Poole trying to get himself into his pit window to make it on only one more stop from here. See Travis White up there. He's been out there for 63 laps. Peter Sercho in the number 32. Looks like he's been out there for 77 laps, although he's been on pit road quite a bit, so not 100% sure about that. We're riding on board with JT Poole, but known to stink. He ain't stinking tonight in that number 26 Mardi Gras Zapp's potato chips machine, and just whipping it around this racetrack.
Yeah, that age number makes me feel really old, Peter. I gotta say.
And, let's be fair, we were doing this at the age of 15.
That is absolutely correct, but I wasn't winning races at 15. I was just wrecking a lot. So, unfortunately for me, and fortunate for JT, he is not doing that. As we saw a ton of composure from JT at Watkins Glen. We're seeing it here tonight. It, quite frankly, a track that rewards older guys, I think, that are just a little more patient and consistent, which I think comes typically with age. That's why JT is doing just a fantastic job in that 26 truck, and why it's so commendable for him. But it's kind of, honestly, folks, a little hard as that 97 takes an aggressive turn on the pit road. But this is basically it's kind of hard to track exactly where JT's lead is because there's so many guys coming in and off of pit road that it's kind of hard to tell exactly where this lead's going to pan out. But he did have quite a substantial buffer coming into this, so I applaud that 26 for kind of using that, right? Knowing that advantage that he has and stretching this as much as possible, because with this drastically reduced fuel tank that they have here, fuel mileage is at such a premium that you really, and because it's Bristol, 6 coming onto pit road, that fuel is such a premium and cautions can destroy you here at Bristol, that it's always good to be a little cautious and stay out as long as possible, as that 26 now pulls onto pit lane, which will lead the 49 truck to be our race leader. And this has been really the only guy that is in championship condition to lead a lap all night, which is kind of huge for Mitchell. He is in a battle with the 50 truck of Bill Edwards, the number 9 of James Zarello, and this 49 staying out really, really long. And we'll see, how does this filter him into this championship picture as far as these overall race results are concerned, because leading a lap's great, but if this costs you 3, 4, 5 positions, ultimately that's a net negative as far as points are concerned, Pete.
Yeah, you saw right there, Pooh had a 15-second stop and about a 31.5-second pit road time. Relatively short pit road time here at Bristol Motor Speedway, but because the lap time is so short, you are very likely to lose 1, maybe even 2 laps. But JT Poole back out there on the racetrack, running right behind Bill Edwards and trying to close in on Jason Freeman in the 94 there. He is currently your race leader. Gonna check in on the number 94, Jason Freeman. He's been out there, Drew, for 90 laps, according to my live timing and scoring. So if that is true, then we do think that Bill Edwards can make it the rest of the way on fuel. So maybe I jumped the gun on that one just a little bit. But JT Poole here about to make the move on Bill Edwards with those much fresher tires in that Ford F-150. But here comes Jason Freeman on pit road. Never mind. We showed up the graphic. The graphic changes just like that, folks. As JT Poole will get himself back up into the front of the racetrack as we have 51 laps to go this time by. It will be 50 and a half mile from now.
You see an interesting driver right behind the 26. That's that blue and orange truck. That is the 49 of Mitchell Adams. And no, folks, he's not running in 20th. As scored this last time by that 49 truck, running in 7th position. Though a little bit fresher tires, looking to get by that 26 truck. And Peter, you know, when you're the race leader and you have a quicker lap truck, you don't want to give that position up. But man, can it be kind of unnerving to be racing around somebody that has the speed that you have, that kind of doesn't have as much to lose, at least in this race is concerned. Now, Mitchell certainly, quite frankly, has a lot more to lose as far as the entire season's concerned, as he is one of those guys battling for championship points, and especially considering that James Morello's running 3rd right now. So, but that almost increases what the 49 needs to do as far as getting by JT right now, as unlapping himself would do quite a bit of good in being able to potentially challenge Lorello later on in this race, because folks, these laps are winding down, and getting in front of this 26 truck would make sure that that 49 doesn't rely on something that can be kind of finicky, that lucky dog award, and that he doesn't have to go at the end of the longest line if a caution were to come out, which kind of puts you at a huge disadvantage as far as getting by guys on your lead lap. So I expect this 49 to battle JT fairly hardly, fairly rigorously, fairly hard, whatever adjective you want to use, that he's going to contest this pretty severely, as we're going to, and that 26, again, he's got a decent race lead, but it's just unnerving racing guys that are a lap down, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. That number 26, I've been so impressed with JT Poole here tonight. But whoa, almost getting into the outside wall there. And just to add to your point there, Drew, battling hard with Pooh is always a difficult thing to do, but there is Pooh in the outside wall. And wow, I'm surprised that he was able to hold on to that number 26 machine out there, looking for any brown streaks on the outside wall. My producer is going nuts in my ears, folks. It is not a pretty thing to listen to. But Mitchell Adams in that number 6 machine, number 49 machine, excuse me, in 6th, back onto the lead lap, trying to close in on David Harvey, who's about 5.5 seconds in front of him. There is the number 50, Bill Edwards, running in 2nd right now, only 1.8 seconds behind the race lead, and really impressed with that number 50, Drew. But we saw Edwards, one of the first trucks on pit road. He has older tires than most of the other trucks around him, and look who is now in 3rd there, Drew. That'd be the number 9 of Lorello, trying to close in on Edwards.
Great. This is what the 50 and the 9 needed, right? Both teammates, both a little behind the 8 ball coming into tonight, and both are doing what they need to do to be successful as far as the championship is concerned. The number 50 running in 2nd, the number 9 running in 3rd, and they had a significant deficit to Mitchell Adams coming into tonight, and Mitchell just not had the race that I think I was expecting from that 49. I think probably that you, Peter, and a lot of people were expecting, is he just tends to not have a ton of weaknesses anywhere. Kind of the same with James Morello, right? Those guys are almost equal everywhere that we go. And tonight, that 49, he hasn't been involved in a ton of stuff. He just hasn't had the pace, versus, quite frankly, James Morello been involved in quite a bit of stuff tonight. In our first incident, which there was no yellow flag for, got that huge kind of, door checking deal going on with another truck earlier in this race that resulted in quite a bit of damage that you can visibly see on that number 9. So a really good job by Lorello to recover from that. And the 50's kind of the opposite tale. Maybe not had as much raw pace as some of the other guys, but has done a fantastic job in strategically positioning that truck via pit strategy and whatnot into keeping that number 50 really clean. And a second would be a great result as, oh, the 26 is now the 50 text, well, just maybe a little bit. But that the 26th almost got into the back of that 05 truck is maybe not the most courteous of lap traffic there. But JT, again, doing what we saw him do through the middle part of that last run, which is just wear this field out. He is starting to put 2 to 3 tenths a lap on second place here, Peter. And what a performance we're seeing from this 26 truck. But it only takes one corner to screw that up and to give all that lead away.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we go through the field? We'll jump back to the 971 and Nathan Maurer because we've hit on Poole, Edwards, and Lorello quite a bit here over the last couple of minutes. Nathan Maurer currently running in the 4th position. There he is, the Simbox Chevrolet, running right now about 7 tenths of a second behind James Zarello, and also has 10 lap fresher tires than that number 9 machine. So Maurer is starting to mow down the number 9 machine. In fact, this is now the battle for 3rd right there on your screen. Back behind him, Dave Harvey in the number 147 machine. He also has fresher tires than the Lorello and also fresher tires than Nathan Maurer by just 1 lap, and 12 lap fresher tires than Bill Edwards. So he's really starting to close in on him. Behind him, though, the number 49 machine of Mitchell Adams running in 6th. But big delta back from David Harvey to Mitchell Adams, about 5 seconds between them. But then a big fall off back behind Mitchell Adams, who's had a roller coaster of a night, comes into tonight as the points leader. So you watch your race leader right there. There's 2nd place, Bill Edwards, not closing in. You see that gap from EDW to Pooh gaining, right there, about a half a second over the last couple of laps. Jason Freeman in the 94 machine currently running in the 7th spot. He's the first truck 1 lap down. In fact, surprisingly, the only truck big scored 1 lap down in the number 94. He was your Sim Racing Shirts Pull Award winner at the beginning of the night. Robert Dudley in the number 15 machine right there in 8th position. Doug Miller in the number 6 machine. And now we got Doug Miller fans in the chat here tonight. And Garrett Gleason currently rounding out your top 10 in the number 31 machine on the scoring pylon. Number 7 on the side of that truck here tonight. One of the free Chris machines. But definitely want to give a huge shout out to some of the series sponsors here tonight. We have had a couple of Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winners, but in all the melees and the scuffles and the caution flags sticking by so quickly here at Bristol Motor Speedway, we haven't been able to award those Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Awards here tonight. But if you're in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area, and you're looking for an animal hospital, make sure you go check out the sponsor of the Lucky Dog Award, because they can make your pupper a lucky dog. That is for sure. There is David Harvey right there saying secretly hates Chris. Got free Chris on the hood. Folks, I don't think that's accurate. David Harvey and Chris Darling go back as long as I go back with these two. So we all used to race against each other back in the day in NSRA Racing 2003 series. And Drew, I think you yourself have raced against David Harvey and Chris Darling way back when. So great to have them in the field here tonight with laps really clicking off as we have been caution free, I want to say, for about 100 laps, Drew.
Yeah, and when races go caution free, this is not caution free, but when you have these long green spells here at Bristol, these races can go by exceptionally quick, as we are averaging sub 16 second laps here, even on worn tires. So I mean, that plus 200, I'm not gonna do the math about that. No chance of that happening. But no, not doing math. In fact, avoiding math, just saying it can go by really, really quickly. Really, really, really quickly here at Bristol. And the inverse is so often true that it can take a ton of time to do a relatively short race at Bristol if guys decide that they do not want to, race each other in a respectful manner. But we've seen quite a bit of respect here tonight exchanged between these guys. And quite frankly, the incidents that we've seen have just been incidents of there's not a lot of space here in guys in varying pace. But one guy who has not varied his pace is JT Poole, who now has a 6.2 as of the last time by. We'll wait for this timing and scoring to update 6.5 here, second lead between he and Bill Edwards. And man, this 26 has been so impressive all night. That purple, black, and gold scheme just waxing the field, so to speak, as Bill Edwards doing a really good job, Nathan Maurer, David Harvey, and James Zarello. Oh, is the 2 into the wall a little bit? That was a little bit of drama as that was holding up some guys. But now the 26 is coming up on James Zarello and Mitchell Adams, potentially lapping the top 5 here. As, yeah, JT Poole is steaming hot tonight, so to speak here, Peter.
Eek. That's probably the worst one we've had here tonight, folks. I don't know. In the chat, let us know which one you don't like the most. But ooh, we're getting word that maybe Jeffrey Johnson Jr., the number 33 New Edge Auto Detailing Chevrolet, might have just had a moment in turn number 3. We'll roll back the tape here and see. Okay, here we go. No, well, maybe not. I'm not 100% sure. Just oh, engine gun pop. That's the problem. We saw some smoke, thought that maybe he had a moment, but unfortunately the engine was what had a moment. He was being scored there around the 11th position. One of your Chase Drivers Championship Incas here once again coming out. Speaking of Championship Incas, Mitchell Adams was able to make that move on James Zarello. They're still relatively close out in the racetrack, but that would extend Mitchell Adams' gap to Lorello. Bill Edwards, on the other hand, is still a couple spots in front of Mitchell Adams, so he would close in on that points lead here after tonight at Bristol if things were to stay as they are for the final 9 laps. As Bill Edwards is the fastest Incan tonight. How about that for Championship Incas? But the fastest steaming hot poo is JT Poole, just blasting his way around the toilet bowl. And JT Poole now down to just 7 more laps to go around the world's fastest half-mile toilet bowl. Just incredible tonight, Drew. In fact, you know, I'm looking at his lap times. He's closing in right now on Nathan Maurer, who's in the 4th position. We might only have 3 trucks on the lead lap. We still have 6 laps to go. It's only 6 laps to go. But he's closing in on Nathan Maurer, just clicking him away one at a time. And oh, the 23 machine just got into the outside wall right in front of your race leader, JT Poole. And Poole is going to close up here on Nathan Maurer. We'll see if we can go on board with the number 26 machine. But with 5 laps to go, 4th place is right in front of him right there in that Simbox Chevrolet. He has put a whooping on the field.
He certainly has. As, yeah, that 971 just struggling there a little bit and just letting him go. I think 971's, I don't know if he's short on fuel, but he decided that one less lap is good for him, as now the 26 has lapped all the way to 3rd position. And quite frankly, if we had another 50 laps of this race, I think he would lap the entire field. He has put quite a bit of distance between he and 2nd place this run, about 5 seconds. And another 5 seconds would put him within reaching distance of this 26 truck. Now we have just 2 laps to go here, as JT ran a heck of a race, right? I mean, done such a good job, as now that's an 11-second lead. White flag right now, Peter, as he coasts through 1 and 2, sprints down the backstretch, gonna hit the 3 and 4 as well as he can. And there we go. JT Poole wins here at Bristol in a dominating performance in that number 26 truck. What a race by JT Poole.
Yeah, he plops it into victory lane here tonight in that number 26 machine, and I'm sure he's going to burn it down here on the front stretch. And how about Bill Edwards there coming in home in 2nd position, and on his debut, David Harvey rounding out the podium here tonight. Poole there burning down those rear tires, the only skid marks you'll see out the back of that number 26 machine here tonight, as we just run rampant up here in the booth on 3 Wide TV. What a run for that Ford F-150. So impressive. I screenshotted at the beginning of the race his comment in the chat, which said, make sure you get some screen time for my 26 Mardi Gras machine because I'm going to get lapped here tonight. Make sure you get it while I'm being lapped. He almost lapped the entire field. That is really, really impressive, Drew.
I mean, I didn't expect that tonight. I expected a few cautions, which would keep the race close, and then yeah, after that, some argy bargy to the end. But JT said, "I don't. I'm just gonna wax these guys. I am gonna show them how it's done in an 11.2 second margin of victory between JT Poole and Bill Edwards, who had a great run tonight in that 50 truck. We will absolutely talk to Bill and JT and David Harvey in a matter of moments, but all credit where credit's due. JT Poole, a heck of a performance in that 26 truck.
Yeah, well, in fact, let's see if we can just jump straight into the interviews here on 3Y TV. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's third place finisher, David Harvey, in the 147. The free Chris Darling machine here tonight, the Toyota Tundra. Of course, Garrett Gleason running a similar paint scheme. David Harvey, Peter Short, 3Y TV booth. You got a coffee, bud.
Yep.
Well, there was a little bit of banter in the chat here tonight, saying that you and Chris Darling have been longtime rivals and longtime enemies secretly. But you did sport his truck here tonight, and what a great performance! This was your Simbox Truck Series debut. Of course, you're here on 3Y TV on the Monday Night Total Nonstop Racing League. But how awesome is that to jump into a new league and come away with a podium finish?
Yeah, it was a fun time. Got lucky that it was Bristol. It's one of my better tracks. So Chris had the opening and I took it.
Yeah, absolutely. A really, really good run for you here tonight at Bristol. And I'm hoping we're going to see you more here on these Friday nights. I know you and I, back in the day, we used to run Friday night leagues each and every week. It seemed like growing up. But what brought you over here to the NSRA Truck Series?
I just had a free night and I talked to Garrett and he's got me set up in the truck. So
Well, definitely great to have you here. Kind of a wild night. Were you expecting to see as much green flag running as we got? I mean, we had 100+ lap run in there to the checkered flag.
no, not really. And I wasn't even prepared for the pit stops. I checked my fuel and I had like 30 laps left and I saw everybody else dipping in. So I just went into.
Well, I think you made a good call to pit when you did it. It seemed like it worked out for you relative to the other trucks around you, um, and were able to hold on to that. Were you concerned about the different pit strategies when you finally did come down pit road?
Yeah, a little bit. When I saw the 50 truck go by, I didn't know when he pitted. I wish I probably would have came in a little earlier.
Well, either way, it definitely worked out for you, and hopefully we can see you a little bit more here on Friday nights here on 3Y TV, and if not, of course, make sure you tune in to see Dave on the Monday night series. But any thoughts about moonlighting a little bit more on Friday nights here?
Yeah, I could. Yeah, hopefully I can make some more. I gotta get my own number, I guess.
Yeah, typically 47's run by Chris Darling, but you slap a 1 on the front of it, and that's where you have David Harvey here tonight. But David, great run here tonight. Any shout outs that you want to give here on the channel before we let you go?
Yeah, I guess just free Chris, whatever that's all about.
Well, yeah, Chris Darling, well, we mentioned at the start of the race that he is in the NSRA prison here tonight, and we're hearing that he might get freed here in a week or two. So keep your eyes on that one, folks. But David, congratulations on your podium finish here tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon here on 3Y TV.
Yep, thanks.
All right, well, that's going to do it for our third place interview, David Harvey. And now we're going to dial up our second place finisher, the man who's closing in on the points lead, Bill Edwards there, Drew.
Bill Edwards, Drew Eisman up here in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Bill, I don't think that Talladega went as you would hope. it would have gone, but it didn't for any of the other championship drivers. However, Bristol, I mean, probably wanted one position better, but a pretty good race for you tonight, especially considering where those around you in the championship performed. Give us a rundown.
Oh, no, I mean, Bristol's one of my favorite tracks, so just a rhythm track, and I got in a rhythm, especially once we finally got a long green flag and some green flag pit stops going there, and just worked on turning laps, checking them off. I'm most happy, I think, that I got out of Bristol with no incidents, which is a rarity.
Yeah, we mentioned that it seemed like so many guys were tagging that right side into the wall, including our eventual race winner in JT Poole. Was that a priority for you? Is keeping that right side clean rather than kind of maybe potentially stepping over that line, maybe gaining a little bit of time, but putting that truck at risk? Was that a priority for you tonight?
I mean, just the way the pit stops fell, because I think JT probably had like 20, 25 laps fresher tires on me either way, because I didn't pit on the last yellow, so I had to go in a little bit earlier than everybody else. So my tires were pretty far down. So I really wasn't racing JT at that point. He had so much newer tires that there wasn't really much of a chance. So I wasn't doing it, bouncing off the wall or anything like that. I try to keep it clean because you might be able to gain a little bit of time here and there bouncing it off the wall, but it'll hurt your tires in the long run.
Absolutely. And what was running through your mind when that started to get that long green flag feel as you were at that tire disadvantage? Was that a concern to you, or are you just trying to figure out ways to kind of mitigate that disadvantage?
Yeah, I was just mitigating. I was trying to drive as smooth a line as I could and keep as much tire as I could. It's just a waiting game because if it goes another 50 laps, a bunch of people pass me. So I was just checking off the laps and don't get me wrong, I was looking in the rearview mirror, looking to see where everybody was at and how fast they were coming up. But I think it was just right in that sweet spot where I pit, so they didn't quite have enough time to catch me.
Yeah. And you did a fantastic job holding them off. I mean, you finished ahead of two guys who were right there with you, who are your championship guys in Mitchell Adams and James Zarello. The last three races of our Simbox Truck Series 2020-2021 season, Auto Club, Phoenix, and Chicago. What are your feelings going into those three races as you close that gap a little bit here at Bristol?
I like Phoenix a lot, so I'm hoping to have a good finish there. The other ones, we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I don't think I'm bad at them by any means, but not my favorites, I guess. So, but Phoenix, I love Phoenix. That's a great track. It's a real technical track. So, hopefully I have a good finish and maybe can pull off a win.
Absolutely, Bill. Well, again, great job kind of maximizing your potential finish. I think that this is as good as you could have done, given that, the cautions might have not fallen perfectly as far as your tire strategy is concerned. But second is an outstanding result. But before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yep, got to give a shout out to NSRA, Simbox, 3Y TV, you guys up in the booth, S2R, and all my teammates. And I got to say hi to my mom, say hi to my girlfriend, and I think that does it.
Outstanding, Bill. Congratulations on your second place finish, and thank you for talking with us.
Thanks. You guys have a good one.
All right, well, folks, that's going to do it for your second place interview. And now let's go down to the man who left a bunch of skid marks on the start-finish line. That man being JT Poole in that number 26 machine. And JT, wow, you absolutely smoked the field here tonight around this half-mile racetrack that we have now dubbed the Toilet Bowl because, man, you absolutely killed the field, won the race by 11.225 seconds. What an impressive run for you in that number 26 machine. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was in practice and I just felt I was so slow. I didn't know what I was doing. Same for qualifying. I think we're in 12th, and then about midway through the race, I just realized I just wasn't driving hard enough. So I started pushing it, and I knew how fast I could go, and I went that fast. And the mix between Justin saying I need to learn the track and being told that y'all name it the Toilet Dome in my honor really made me push it a little harder.
I'll tell you what, sometimes you just have to push it in the toilet bowl, but really good night for you in that number 26 machine. Of course, picking up your second win of the season, picking up that first win back at Watkins Glen. Not all too many races ago, all things considered, back in the month of December. But Bristol is quite a bit different than Watkins Glen, and definitely kind of gives you a lot of momentum to close out the season. What are your thoughts about rounding out the 2020/2021 Simbox Truck Series here over the next couple of weeks?
Yes, sir. I think off season we've had a very fast Zapp's Ford F-150. We just really haven't been in the right places in the right time. But I'm really excited. I like the remaining tracks, especially the season finale at Chicagoland. I know I'm not really in there to win anything other than the race, but I can't wait to still be racing here and racing these guys another week.
Yeah, definitely a really impressive run here tonight. I mean, you fended off charges there from some of the drivers who've won quite a few races this year. Drivers like Mitchell Adams, James Lorello, Jason Freeman. How awesome is it? How good of a feeling is it to find that rhythm and find that speed there in the middle portion of the race and really saying, kind of turning around and saying to the rest of the field, see you guys later. I'm up here at the lead.
Oh man, I was hating this track so much at the start because I just thought it was single file and you just couldn't pass on the bottom. I still feel like that this way. Still think we need to put some PJ1 on the bottom, but ever since once I got past Bill on the bottom on that restart, I was flying. I kept my head down. I didn't want anyone to get past me, which I don't think we ever did until Pill passed us on the pit cycle, which we quickly took back and started leading those laps again.
Well, speaking of leading laps, you led 119 of the 200 laps here tonight. Very much picking up the most laps led in that 26 machine, and strong run. Your second win of the year. Looking over the next couple of races, of course, we're going to close out the season over the next following few weeks here on 3 Wide TV. We go to Auto Club. That is going to be next up on the schedule right here on 3 Wide TV, February 26th, and then ISM Raceway at Phoenix, March 5th. And rounding out the 2020-2021 Simbox Truck Series at Chicagoland in that 240-mile event there. What are your thoughts over the next 3 races?
Yeah, I think it might be my Zap Spicy Cajun Cartator Mardi Gras Madness machine that got me a little speed boost tonight. So I'm gonna see if I can run it for the rest of the season, and hopefully that was the little secret that can make me go faster. I'm hoping Auto Club doesn't go anywhere near what Michigan did because I was pretty sad. But yeah, I hope we can carry this momentum. It just seems like I can't really win exciting races. I always got to lead all the laps.
Well, I think a lot of the people in the chat will hopefully go back, watch this one, and enjoy it. And gotta say, folks, at the beginning of the night, probably about our 15th comment in the chat tonight was from you saying, make sure you get some shots of my Mardi Gras truck so I get some screen time while being lapped. Well, you just about lapped the field. That is definitely, I think, completely flipping the table from where you expected to see how the turntables, if you will. Aiming to drop a deuce on the competition next week. That is JT Poole in the number 26 machine here tonight. JT, you got any shout outs for us?
Yes, sir. I thank my crew chief, Papa Poo. I thank the family that was watching me. Uh, I thank all my teammates. Chris Starling, Justin White, all those guys, Doug Milliner. All they're all pretty fun to tell me what I should be doing through the race and making sure I was keeping it cool and wasn't trying to lap the field. But yeah, that was a really fun race, and I hope I can be back up here next week talking to you guys again.
Well, folks, you've heard of Chocolate Myers on the box before. Well, now you've heard of Papa Poo on the box here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. JT, congratulations on the win here tonight. Enjoy it. And hopefully you can go back, get a good chuckle from the broadcast. But a dominant performance. We'll see you again next week.
Yes, sir. I'm going to make sure to put Pooh Bear on top of my window for next week.
There you go. You heard it here, folks. That is, you heard it here first, folks. JT Poole going to have a Pooh Bear on the truck next week. That's going to be a fun one. But Drew, it's about time for us to go through those final race results and wrap up tonight's race.
Absolutely. You heard from him, the Pooh Meister himself, the number 26 of JT Poole, our race winner, the 50 of Bill Edwards, a great result in his bid for a championship. He'll finish second. The 147 of Dave Harvey will finish in third. The 971 of Nathan Maurer, a great run. He'll start fourth, finish fourth. The 49 and Mitchell Adams started 20th, finished 5th. A really good job of recovering for that 49. Same with the number 9 of James Lorello, who finished 6th. Quite a few bits of drama for Lorello in that number 9 kill once again in 6th position. The 94 of Jason Freeman, our pole sitter, he'll bring it home in 7th position. Robert Dudley in that 15 truck will bring it home in 8th. Doug Milner brings home 9th, and rounding out your top 10, the 31/number 7 scheme of Garrett Gleason.
In the 11th position, Stephen Doziak Jr., Justin White finishing there in 12th, just one spot in front of Travis White in 13th. We saw those Whites get together, have some contact coming out of turn number 4 earlier in the race. Jeffrey Johnson Jr. in the number 33 finishes in 14th. Peter Serta rounding out your top 15. Philip Scott 16th. Colin Ullery 17th. Joshua Sobel 18th. Tony Lucarelli 19th. And Doug Neal 20th. But wow. A lot of those drivers from 13th all the way back to 20th, 12 plus laps down. A lot of attrition here tonight. And Drew, why don't you take us through 21st on back through the rest of the field?
Absolutely. Jordan Shepler, unfortunately, now we're getting to those guys that had quite a few bits of drama. He'll bring it home 21st. Ben Adams, we saw involved in that big incident. He'll bring home 22nd. Monty Glover in that 10 will bring home 23rd. Drew Himmelman, so much pace out of that Ford truck, challenging for the lead early on. Unfortunately, he will bring home 24th. Jamar Dumas, one of the few guys I've seen in a truck to flip at Bristol. That 28 truck will come home 25th. And then Adam Dama, another guy that had quite a few incidents, unfortunately, in that 82 truck. He'll bring home 26th. And Jeff Price, the 14 truck, 170 out of 200 laps down, only 30 complete for that 14 truck. He will round out our starters tonight in 27th. Of note, that 84 of TJ Buck. Now, Chris Darling, folks, I'm not forgetting about him. He's suspended. He did not take part in tonight's race. Unfortunately, TJ Buck with connection issues, not able to participate in tonight's race, and he will finish in 29th. And that rounds out our field.
Yeah, definitely. And folks, if you enjoyed the load of poo that we spewed out our mouths here tonight on 3 Wide TV, make sure that you hit the like button, because it definitely was a fun one here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway. Kind of a relatively short race as well, clicking by with a lot of green flag running. Always great to see that here on the channel. Green flag pit stops at Bristol. You don't see that very often at all, Drew, and it definitely is going to set us up for an interesting stage next week at Auto Club.
It certainly will. I am absolutely anticipating a quasi super speedway speed show, so to speak. It's going to be a fast, wild one, and I'm really excited. I think we're going to see shades of Daytona and Talladega, and who knows? It could be kind of a repeat of Talladega, where a ton of chase guys have a ton of problems, and we shall see. Only time will tell, but I am looking forward to this time next Friday.
Absolutely. Will JT Poole wipe the field once again? We'll just have to wait and find out here on 3 Wide TV. Before we go, I want to give a huge shout out to a couple of the series sponsors, as well as give out the Biggest Mover of the Race award, brought to you by Taz Racing Customs. This week, it's going to be shared amongst 2 different drivers, Stephen Doziak Jr. and Mitchell Adams. Both of those drivers picking up 15 spots tonight here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. So big shout out to Taz Racing Customs. If you want a custom diecast, make sure you check them out, because whether it's an iRacing vehicle or a real life NASCAR, make sure you check them out, because they can hook you up with that custom diecast. We also want to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Simbox. Make sure you check them out on Facebook, facebook.com/SimboxPCs for all of your button box needs, as well as Brookstone Animal Hospital, Sim Racing shirts, Brookstone. We already said Brookstone. Man, I'm getting my things mixed up here tonight, but definitely a great broadcast here tonight at Bristol Motor Speedway, as well as our friends over at Sim TV for the camera angles that we bring you every week here on the channel. But remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more action here in the NSRA Simbox Truck Series, as well as all the other action that we bring you here on the channel. Next week, we got total nonstop racing action. We got, of course, the American Sim Racing Series back in action, as well as the National Sim Racing Association as well. But for myself, Peter Short, Drew Eisman, and Carlos Acosta manning the cameras this week. Big shout out to Carlos. Really appreciate that in case one of us happened to lose power, because who knows, we're in Texas where we don't have a stable power grid when it gets cold. We'll see you guys next week here on 3Y TV. See ya!